Story number 1. The room behind the bookshelf. I never believed in bad energy or cursed houses. Not until I moved into 47 Maple Street. It was perfect on paper. 3 bedrooms. Hardwood floors. A backyard. And the price was unbelievable for the neighborhood. My wife Sarah and I jumped on it immediately. The previous owner had passed away. That's all the realtor told us. An old woman who'd lived there for 40 years. Died peacefully in her sleep. Nothing suspicious. Nothing to worry about. We moved in on a Saturday in September. Warm day. Sunny. Our 6-year-old daughter Emma was excited about her new room. Everything felt right. The house came partially furnished. The old woman's family didn't want most of it. There was a massive oak bookshelf in the living room, built into the wall. Beautiful craftsmanship. We decided to keep it. For the first 2 weeks, everything was normal. We unpacked. Painted Emma's room pink. Started to feel like home. Then Emma started talking about the lady. "The old lady comes to visit me at night," she said one morning at breakfast. Sarah and I exchanged looks. Imaginary friends. Normal for her age. "That's nice, honey," Sarah said. "What does she look like?" "She's very old. And sad. She cries a lot." Something about the way Emma said it made my skin crawl. But I pushed it away. Kids have wild imaginations. The next night, I heard crying. I woke up around 2 in the morning. Soft sobbing. Coming from downstairs. I thought maybe Sarah was up. But she was next to me. Sound asleep. I went downstairs. The crying got louder. It was coming from the living room. Near the bookshelf. I stood there in the dark. Listening. The sound was definitely coming from the wall behind the bookshelf. Then it stopped. Just like that. Complete silence. I turned on every light. Checked the whole house. Nothing. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. I didn't tell Sarah. I didn't want to scare her. But I started paying attention to the bookshelf. Really looking at it. The measurements seemed off. The living room felt smaller than it should be based on the house's exterior dimensions. I measured it myself. There were 8 feet missing. 8 feet of space that didn't exist. It had to be behind the bookshelf. I waited until Sarah took Emma to her mom's for the weekend. Then I started examining the bookshelf closely. It took me 3 hours to find it. A small notch in the wood trim. Barely visible. When I pressed it, I heard a click. The entire bookshelf swung outward. Slowly. Smooth. Like it had been used recently. Behind it was a door. Dark wood. No handle. Just a simple push plate. My heart was racing. Every instinct told me not to open it. But I had to know. I pushed the door open. The smell hit me first. Stale air. Dust. And something else. Something floral and rotten at the same time. I used my phone's flashlight. The room was small. Maybe 8 by 10 feet. The walls were painted a faded yellow. There was a single bed. A nightstand. A lamp. And photographs. Hundreds of them. Covering every wall. I stepped inside. My hands were shaking. The photographs were all of the same person. A little girl. Maybe 7 or 8 years old. Playing in a yard. Blowing out birthday candles. Opening Christmas presents. In every photo, she was alone. No parents. No other kids. Just her. On the nightstand, there was a diary. Brown leather. Worn. I opened it. The handwriting was shaky. Old. The entries went back 40 years. All written by the previous owner. Margaret. The old woman who died here. I read the first entry. Then the second. Then I couldn't stop. Margaret had a daughter. Elizabeth. She died when she was 8 years old. Drowned in a neighbor's pool. Margaret never recovered. She couldn't accept it. Couldn't let go. So she built this room. A shrine. She'd spend hours in here every day. Talking to Elizabeth. Reading to her. Pretending she was still alive. The entries got darker as they went on. Margaret started to believe Elizabeth was really there, that she could hear her, see her, feel her. Elizabeth doesn't want me to leave the room, one entry said. She gets angry when I'm gone too long. She needs me. Another entry, years later, Elizabeth is growing up. She's not a little girl anymore. She needs more space. She wants to leave the room. I told her she can't. Not yet. Not ever. The final entry was dated 3 months before Margaret died. Elizabeth is angry. She won't forgive me for keeping her here. She says she'll find another little girl. Someone who will play with her. Someone who will stay. I dropped the diary. I heard a sound behind me. A small breath. I spun around. The door was closed. I didn't hear it close. But it was shut. I grabbed the handle. It wouldn't move. Locked from the outside. No, 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 I whispered. I pulled harder. Nothing. Then the lamp on the nightstand turned on by itself. Warm yellow light filled the room. In that light, I saw something I hadn't noticed before. There were scratches on the door. Fresh scratches. On the inside. And children's handprints on the walls. Small. In something dark. Something that looked like old blood. I started pounding on the door. Screaming. My phone had no signal in the room. I was trapped for 6 hours. In that room. With those photographs. That diary. Those handprints. The whole time, I felt like someone was watching me. Standing in the corner where the light didn't reach. I heard breathing that wasn't mine. Footsteps. A child's laugh. When the bookshelf finally swung open, I nearly collapsed. I don't know how it opened. I didn't care. I ran out. Out of the room. Out of the house. I called Sarah. Told her to stay at her mother's. Told her we were moving. Immediately. She didn't understand. Not until I showed her the room. She went pale. Started crying. We packed that night. Left most of our stuff. We didn't care. We never went back. The house is still on the market. It's been 2 years. No one stays longer than a month. Emma doesn't talk about the old lady anymore. But sometimes, late at night, she talks in her sleep. She says a name. Over and over. Elizabeth. And she laughs. A laugh that doesn't sound like hers. We took her to doctors. Therapists. Everyone says she's fine. Just processing the move. But I know better. I saw that room. I felt that presence. And sometimes, when I check on Emma at night, I see a shadow in the corner of her room. Small. Child-sized. Watching. Story number 2. The Basement Tenant. I bought my first house when I was 29. A fixer-upper in a decent neighborhood. The inspection came back clean. No major issues. Just cosmetic stuff I could handle myself. The house had been empty for 8 months. Bank foreclosure. The previous owner just disappeared one day. Left everything behind. Clothes still in the closets. Food still in the fridge. The bank's agent said it happens sometimes. People just walk away from their problems. I got the house for a steal. $40,000 below market value. I thought I'd won the lottery. Move-in day was a Friday. I took the week off work to get settled. My buddy Mike helped me move the heavy furniture. "Man, this basement is huge," Mike said when we carried my couch down. "You could rent this out. Make some extra cash." I hadn't really explored the basement yet. It was unfinished. Concrete floors. Exposed ceiling. One large open space with a bathroom in the corner. But Mike was right. It was big. Definitely big enough to finish and rent out. After Mike left, I went down to take measurements. See what it would cost to drywall and carpet. That's when I noticed the door. It was in the far corner. Behind the furnace. I'd missed it completely on my first look. Not a regular door. More like a hatch. Metal. Flush with the concrete wall. With a wheel lock. Like something you'd see on a submarine. I walked over to it. There was no rust. The metal was clean. Someone had maintained this. I tried the wheel. It turned easily. Smooth. The locking mechanism clicked. The door swung inward. A wave of air hit me. Not stale. Fresh. Like the space beyond had ventilation. I pulled out my phone, turned on the flashlight, and looked inside. It was a hallway. Concrete. About 20 feet long. Leading to another door at the end. My heart started beating faster. This wasn't on the house plans. The inspection never mentioned it. I should have stopped. Called someone. But curiosity pushed me forward. I walked down the hallway. My footsteps echoed. The air felt cool. Controlled. The door at the end was wood. Normal looking. With a handle. I opened it. The room beyond was furnished. Completely furnished. Like a small apartment. There was a bed. Neatly made. A small kitchen area with a hot plate and mini fridge. A table with 2 chairs. A bookshelf full of books. And the lights were on. Fluorescent panels in the ceiling. Humming softly. Someone had been living here. Maybe still was. I felt panic rising in my chest. I should leave. Get out. Call the police. But then I saw the photos on the wall. Dozens of them. Pinned up in neat rows. I stepped closer. My blood went cold. They were photos of people. In houses. Sleeping. Eating. Watching TV. Private moments. Candid shots taken through windows. And I recognized some of the houses. They were in this neighborhood. My hands started shaking. I looked at the bookshelf. The books were all the same. Notebooks. Journals. I grabbed one. Opened it. It was filled with handwriting. Small. Precise. Every page. Names. Addresses. Schedules. Routines. Karen Mitchell. 423, Oak Street. Leaves for work at 7:15 a.m. Returns at 6:30 p.m. Walks dog at 9 p.m. Bedroom window doesn't lock properly. David Chen. 891, Birch Avenue. Single. Works from home. Orders takeout every Tuesday and Friday. Garage code is 4782. Page after page. Dozens of people. All documented. All watched. I dropped the notebook. I needed to get out. Right now. That's when I heard it. A door closing. Upstairs. Someone was in my house. I froze. Listening. Footsteps on the floor above me. Slow. Casual. Moving through the rooms. They were in my house. The person who lived in this room. They were upstairs. I looked around frantically. There was no other exit. Just the hallway I'd come through. I'd have to go back up. Past the basement. Up the stairs. Where they were. I turned off my phone's flashlight. Moved as quietly as I could back down the hallway. Through the metal door. Into the main basement. I could still hear footsteps. Directly above me now. In the kitchen. The basement stairs were across the room. 20 feet away. I'd be completely exposed. I waited. Barely breathing. The footsteps moved away. Toward the living room. I ran. As quietly as I could. Up the stairs. I could see the basement door at the top. Still open. Light beyond. I was halfway up when the footsteps stopped. Silence. Complete silence. Then they started again. Fast. Running toward the basement door. I lunged up the last steps. Burst through the door. Slammed it behind me. There was no lock. Nothing to hold it shut. I grabbed a chair. Wedged it under the handle. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely grip it. Something hit the door from the other side. Hard. The chair held. Barely. Another hit. The door frame cracked. I ran to the front door. Fumbled with the locks. Got it open. Ran outside into the street. I called 911 from my neighbor's house. Told them someone was in my home. They arrived in 6 minutes. 4 officers went in. Searched the whole house. The basement. The hidden room. They found nothing. No one. But the notebooks were gone. The photos were gone. The bed was stripped. The room was empty except for the furniture. "Are you sure about what you saw?" the officer asked me. His tone said he didn't believe me. I showed them the metal door, the hallway, the room. But without the evidence, it just looked like a weird storage space. They filed a report. Told me to call if anything else happened. But I could tell they thought I'd imagined it. I stayed at a hotel that night. And the next night. And the next. I hired a contractor to seal the metal door. Concrete. Rebar. Permanent. I moved back in after that. Tried to convince myself it was over. But things kept happening. Small things. I'd come home and find doors open that I'd closed. Lights on in rooms I hadn't entered. Food missing from my fridge. My neighbor Karen mentioned she'd seen someone in my yard at night. "I thought it was you," she said. "But when I waved, they just stared at me. Then walked around to your back door." I installed cameras. Front door. Back door. All the windows. I checked the footage every day. Nothing. Just me coming and going. Then one morning, I noticed something. A gap in the recording. 3 hours missing. From 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. It happened again the next night. Same thing. The cameras just stopped recording for exactly 3 hours. I set up a new camera. One they wouldn't know about. Hidden in a bookshelf. Pointed at the basement door. The next morning, I watched the footage. At 2:37 a.m., the basement door opened. Even though I'd locked it. Even though the chair was wedged under it. A man walked out. Average height. Thin. Wearing dark clothes. He went to my kitchen. Made himself food. Sat at my table. Ate slowly. Reading one of my books. Then he walked through my house. Stood in my bedroom doorway. Watching me sleep. For 11 minutes. After that, he went to each camera. One by one. Turned them off. Except the hidden one. He didn't know about that one. Then he went back to the basement door. Opened it. And disappeared. I watched the footage 3 times. I wasn't imagining it. He was real. I packed everything I owned that day. Put the house back on the market. Sold it at a loss within 2 weeks. I never told the new owners. I know I should have. But I just wanted out. That was 4 months ago. I live in an apartment now. 10th floor. No basement. But last week, I found something slipped under my door. An envelope. No postage. Hand delivered. Inside was a photo. Of me. Sleeping in my new bed. In my new apartment. And on the back, written in small, precise handwriting. "You can't lock me out forever." Story number 3. The Mirror Room. My husband and I bought our dream house last spring. Victorian. 1890s original. Completely renovated. Modern kitchen. Updated electrical. But all the original character intact. We'd been searching for 2 years. This house was perfect. A little above our budget. But we made it work. The realtor was eager to close. Almost too eager. She kept emphasizing what a good deal it was. How long it had been on the market. How motivated the sellers were. We didn't ask why. We should have. We moved in on a rainy Tuesday in April. Just the 2 of us. We didn't have kids yet. We're planning to start trying once we got settled. The house had 5 bedrooms. Way more than we needed. But we figured we'd grow into it. One of the bedrooms was locked. The master bedroom. Heavy wooden door with an old-fashioned keyhole. The realtor said the key was in the documents. In the envelope with all the house information. We looked through everything. No key. We called the realtor. She said she'd check with the previous owners. Get back to us. She never did. Stopped returning our calls actually. My husband Jake decided to just remove the door handle. It was our house. We had a right to access every room. It took him 2 hours. The screws were stripped. The mechanism was old. But he finally got it off. The door swung open. The room beyond was beautiful. Hardwood floors. High ceilings. Crown molding. A massive window overlooking the garden. And mirrors. Every wall was covered in antique mirrors. Different sizes. Different frames. Dozens of them. Creating an infinite reflection effect. Wow, Jake said. This is incredible. Why would they lock this? I didn't answer. Something about the room felt wrong. The air was colder. And there was a smell. Faint. Like old perfume. But Jake loved it. He wanted to make it our bedroom immediately. It was bigger than the room we'd chosen. Better view. More light. We moved our furniture in that weekend. Set up the bed. Unpacked our clothes. It really was a beautiful room. The first night, I had trouble sleeping. The mirrors bothered me. I could see myself from every angle. See Jake sleeping. See endless reflections stretching into darkness. Around 3 in the morning, I woke up. Jake was still asleep next to me. But in the mirror across from the bed, I saw something. A figure. Standing in the corner of the room. I sat up. Heart pounding. Looked at the actual corner. Nothing there. I looked back at the mirror. The figure was gone. I told myself it was a dream. Half asleep. Seeing things. But the next night, I saw it again. Same mirror. Same corner. A woman. Standing perfectly still. Watching us. This time I woke Jake up. There's someone in the mirror, I whispered. He looked. I don't see anything, he said. He sounded annoyed. He had work in the morning. She was just there, I insisted. It's the mirrors, he said. They're playing tricks on you. Reflections of reflections. Go back to sleep. But I couldn't. I lay awake, watching the mirrors. The woman didn't appear again that night. I started researching the house. Looking for information about previous owners. Any history. I found an old newspaper article. From 1983. A woman had died in this house. Margaret Flynn. Age 34. Found in the master bedroom. The article said it was suicide. But there were suspicious circumstances. Injuries that didn't match. Signs of struggle. Her husband was questioned. But never charged. He sold the house 6 months later. The article included a photo of Margaret. Black and white. Grainy. But clear enough. It was the woman from the mirror. I showed Jake. He dismissed it. Lots of people have died in old houses, he said. It doesn't mean anything. You're letting your imagination run wild. But I knew what I'd seen. And I'd seen her twice now. I decided to cover the mirrors. We didn't need that many anyway. It was excessive. I started with the mirror where I'd seen her. I hung a sheet over it while Jake was at work. When he got home, he was furious. What did you do? He demanded. This room is perfect. You're ruining it. The mirrors are too much, I said. They make me uncomfortable. Then sleep in another room, he snapped. I'm not redecorating because you're paranoid. He ripped the sheet down. I'd never seen him like that. So angry. Over mirrors. That night, I woke up to whispering. Soft. Coming from every direction. The mirrors. I couldn't make out words. Just sounds. Urgent. Pleading. Female voice. Jake was asleep. Didn't hear it. Or didn't wake up. I got out of bed. The whispering got louder. I walked toward the mirrors. Leaned close. In one of them I saw movement. Not my reflection. Something else. The woman. Margaret. She was in the mirror. Moving. Her mouth was moving with the whispers. I stumbled back. Knocked into Jake's nightstand. A lamp fell. Crashed. Jake woke up. What the hell? He shouted. She's in the mirrors, I said. I saw her. She's trying to tell us something. There's no one there. Jake yelled. You're losing it. This is insane. He got out of bed. Stormed out of the room. Slept in the guest room. I should have left with him. But I needed to know. I needed to understand. I waited until I heard his breathing even out. Then I went back to the mirror. What do you want? I whispered to my own reflection. The whispering stopped. Complete silence. Then my reflection moved. Not with me. By itself. It smiled. A slow, wrong smile. And it mouthed one word. Help. I screamed. Ran from the room. Down the hall. To the guest room where Jake was sleeping. We have to leave, I said. Right now. We have to get out of this house. He was done arguing. He saw my face. Saw the terror. He believed me. Finally. We packed bags. Just essentials. We'd come back for the rest later. With help. During the day. We were heading for the front door when we heard it. A crash from upstairs. From the master bedroom. Then another. Glass shattering. Over and over. Jake grabbed my hand. We ran outside. Got in the car. Drove to a hotel. The next morning, we called the police. Told them we'd heard an intruder. Breaking things. They went in. Found the master bedroom destroyed. Every single mirror smashed. Glass everywhere. But no sign of forced entry. No footprints in the glass. Nothing. The officer said maybe it was an earthquake. A truck driving by. Vibrations. But I knew better. I saw his face when he looked at that room. He felt it too. We hired someone to clean it up. Remove all the mirrors. Repaint. We never set foot in that room again. We listed the house 2 weeks later. The realtor asked why we were selling so soon. We didn't tell her. A young couple bought it. Newlyweds. They loved the Victorian charm. I wanted to warn them. Wanted to tell them about the master bedroom. About Margaret. But Jake said no one would believe us. They'd think we were crazy. Trying to get out of the sale. So I said nothing. We moved to a ranch house across town. 1 story. Built in 2005. No history. No mirrors. But I still think about them. The couple. Wonder if they're sleeping in that room. If they've seen her yet. Last week, I drove past the old house. Just to see. There were mirrors in the master bedroom window. I could see them from the street. New mirrors. Covering the walls again. And in one of them, I saw a figure. Standing. Watching the street. It wasn't Margaret. It was the woman. The new owner. Just standing there. Motionless. Exactly the way I used to see Margaret. I haven't driven past again. I don't want to know. Don't want to see. But sometimes late at night I worry. I worry that Margaret wasn't asking for help to escape. She was asking for help to find someone new. Someone to take her place. And I think she finally did.